Sung the Scientist joined the fight and came back in favor of Fnatic.
Hello, friends and Dota fans. Welcome to the HyperX D2L Season 5 World Finals. Thank you for joining us here at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. We are here, of course, for 4 teams from all over the world who have proved they are worthy of being here at the live finals to, again, prove to us that they are the most dominant team in this competition and, of course, take home their share of over $50,000 in prizes. I'm really, really excited to get into those matches, and we're going to hear from the first 2 captains here in just a moment. But I do want to remind you that if you're here in the venue with us and not watching from home, no flash photography. We want to make sure that we create the best environment for our players, and if you take a flash picture, you will cause all sorts of ruin and destruction, and you don't want to do that, so please don't do that. If you're at home, you can take flash pictures all you want. Good for you. Hang out at home. All right, guys. Now, I want to get right into these matches because I know you've waited a little while. As you can see, I'm already joined on stage by CDEC and Virtus.Pro Polar. Let's hear it for our teams. And captains, if I could have you join me up here. Come on up. I'm joined by Maybe from CDEC as well as FNG from Virtus.Pro Polar. FNG, how has Vegas been so far?
Vegas is great, really. Like, everyone who wants to go somewhere, I think you need to go Vegas.
Yeah? Have you had fun so far? Have you done anything cool?
Yeah, sure. I'm only 19 years old, so I can visit some places, you know, but still I visit some, like, shops and walk for a street. It's really cool.
Nice. Well, and you have to save something from when you're older. That's good. All right, and maybe, has your team had any fun so far in Las Vegas? Done anything cool?
你们来到拉斯维加斯之后，有没有去哪里玩？
还没有。
Not yet.
Nothing at all. Fair enough. Keeping it focused. All right. Well, we see that Jimmy Ho, a.k.a. the D2L mercenary, as we've come to call him, Demon, is over here on your team. You've got a little bit of a roster shakeup. Yeah? What can we expect from your roster here at D2L?
I think we will do great, even so that Lily's didn't come with us because like Demon is also a great player and he like got a stand-in power, like every team that he playing for as a stand-in, still getting a high place at every tournament.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, actually CDEC is one of the few teams that has not had some roster shakeups. So what are we going to expect to see from your team coming in strong with players that you know?
CDEC 是最近有一个队伍就是没有阵容改变的，我们能向你们队伍期待些什么呢？
这次比赛吗？
这次比赛。
夺冠。
We're gonna win.
A man of few words, very direct. All right, guys, go ahead and shake hands, and go ahead and head back to your seats. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Wow, we are already ready for some intense matches, and here to take you through them, I'm proud to introduce you to our casters. It is AC and Tralf. Take it away, guys.
Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcoming to the glistening Gamora of Las Vegas, Nevada, joined by Tralf. Brother, I can't wait to get things going. There's so much for us to talk about, not just with this series, but throughout the entire tournament. We've got 3 teams rolling in with a lot of storylines in play, and the 2 to start us out, CDEC and Polar. Demon, of course, standing in for Polar. That's going to be a pleasure to watch. But CDEC, we've kind of gone back and forth about this over the last 24 hours, just talking before the event started and so on. Maybe one of the most underrated teams in the world in terms of their quality of play and how underestimated routinely they seem to be.
And maybe himself, one of probably the most underrated players just in China in general. And I think we've talked about this a little bit. I think that these 2 teams in particular, CDEC and LV, there's not too much known about them in the Western scene, unless, of course, if you caught our series or our tournament and you'd be able to see them. They're very underrated. I'm expecting very good things from them. I think people are going to be very impressed.
Well, if you're not familiar with who they are, how about we take a look at the lineups and see how these 2 teams stack up man for man, beginning, of course, with CDEC. Now, we should have a banner coming up here in just a moment. There it is, 6-1. They finished up in first position coming out of our Eastern Division. And this CDEC squad, again, if you didn't catch them, you know, you see the logo, you say, oh, no big name sponsors attached. It's not that marquee name that so many want to see coming out of the East, especially Western fans want to have those marquee names to get familiar with them. This is a team you should be familiar with, and if you watch this tournament, by the time all is said and done, you will be. They are stacked at every position, and without a doubt, the most solid team we saw in the East throughout all of our group stage play.
Well, being the winners, of course, and I think the big thing about CDEC is, if you remember, they were LGD CDEC, and they had a great opening start against LGD, the LGD actual squad, and they beat them. And that was when we were first taking a look at them and saying, like, wow, they were very, very good.
This is a former practice squad.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a former practice squad. And like I said, some of the players are just really caught my eye. Specifically, maybe outstanding.
Sun
Sheng as the carry player. It's awesome because those two players in particular, if you've looked at their replays and watched their games, they actually interchange their heroes a lot. So they'll play, like Sun Sheng will play Panda one game. The next game, it'll be maybe playing that. They're very interchangeable.
Yep, and something else that's worth mentioning about CDEC is we will go ahead and take a look at Polar now, but just one last thought, they are the only team to roll in with the same squad that played throughout the entire tournament, so there is something to be said about continuity. For Polar, though, they didn't finish up too shabby. 4-1, they finished up in third position, and they're here via, unfortunately, Empire being unable to join us. So Polar given a bit of a redemption here, but a team that should not be underestimated under any circumstances whatsoever. They are playing down a man, as we mentioned. Lil not able to join them, being replaced by Demon, and Demon at this point has kind of earned the reputation of D2L mercenary, Matt. He was here D2L Season 4 right in this exact same ballroom, filling in for another team. He knows how to slide into any kind of team's chemistry and make a difference. Do you think it's going to be enough?
We'll see, and we talked briefly before this. I think that having a stand-in come in and replace one of your support players is actually much more difficult than replacing, say, a core. So if you remember when EG had Fear, for example, step out and it was Mason replacing him, while it is difficult in general, I think it's a little bit easier to replace a core like a one player, or maybe even your mid, honestly, because those are a little bit more defined roles, you know what to do. But the interaction between the two support players, I think it's something that needs to be learned a little bit more by playing with them a lot. So I think it should be difficult, but we'll see if Demon's up for the challenge.
Well, one thing that I do like about Polar and the way that they stack up, even with someone filling in, they're not a team that has a defined style. We see them show a lot of flex in terms of what they want to do, how they want to play, what their game plan is, game to game and series to series. I think that bodes well for a team with a talented player, a high-flying, high-risk, high-reward kind of a player like Demon, ready to step in and play that CIS style of Dota. Well, that's Polar and CDEC. This is our first series leading off the D2L Season 5 Grand Finals here in Las Vegas. We're ready to jump on into the draft now. And as we can see, we're right about halfway done. Virtus.Pro leading off with a puck and an ancient apparition. Gonna be CDEC, following it up with a Juggernaut and a Skywrath Mage.
You know, it's always fun for me to see the beginning of these drafts of these LAN tournament finals, because it's like, have the teams done their homework or not? And right away I see Virtus.Pro Polar ban out the Brewmaster, which is a very, very top pick for CDEC. They've been picking it a lot, and it's very good for them. And then the Juggernaut, it's been so popular in the Western scene. For example, if you've been watching NEL or IXCL, it's picked almost every single game, even banned in the first phase.
Yep.
It's interesting to see the Eastern teams pick it up. I didn't know this. I didn't know that they valued this. So very exciting for me personally, one of my favorite heroes. And with the recent buffs, it does warrant an early pick now, I think.
Well, Jug's just one of those heroes that it has always felt like he's on the cusp. You know, there have been teams that have experimented with it. Some would run it off lane, you'd run it mid. Even DK, for example, ran it support every now and then.
Yeah,
a hero that brings a lot to any composition, just needed that extra little bit of, experience. Or maybe just, needed that time in the meta to get popular again. And now we see it, as you mentioned. And in terms of popularity, the Brewmaster being banned out first by Polar, no surprise. They're Vengeful Spirit, one of the most popular heroes in the meta right now. Skywrath Mage, despite being hit with the nerf stick a couple of times, is still a very highly valued hero. But the Ancient Apparition and the puck, I actually really like the way these two heroes work together. It allows you to make plays across the map. And there's that Slark pickup. And you and I talked a lot leading up to this. Slark is one of those heroes that I feel like is already popular, but is actually going to springboard even higher as we look forward to the early part of 2015.
It's just one of the most annoying heroes to play against, honestly. It's a nightmare for any support that just is underfarmed, and you know that Slark's been free farming and has an early blink Midas or whatever he decides to go to. It should be a blink in almost every situation. Lothar's, of course, is still fine, but I think blink is just a little bit stronger in a general sense. The Ancient Apparition, I think, was picked up as a result because of the Juggernaut. The heal will be mitigated a little bit. But if Virtus.Pro Polar continue to draft this kind of like lack of stuns, it's going to be very easy for Juggernaut to just TP away. So he has multiple ways of getting away, obviously with the spin TP. So we'll have to see how Juggernaut pans out, but again, I'm very excited to see that. And to touch finally on the Skywrath, it's just one of the most versatile supports. It's got a lot of base movement speed to start out with. One of the best silences in the game. It's an instant cast silence. I've always talked about that. The ultimate, of course, has been nerfed. It's still quite strong. It's just a very versatile and safe pickup. It's a ranged hero, does nukes, has a silence. It's pretty much got it all.
Yeah, and in terms of the Skywrath Mage, in particular against the Slark, you know, Slark with Dark Pact able to get out of trouble so very often, I think that's going to be essential for them in terms of being able to lock that Slark down, get on top of him before he can Dark Pact, before he can remove any kind of debuff that the Skywrath wants to put on him, and so on and so forth. Now, it's going to be an Ember Spirit picked up by CDEC, and this is really no surprise. We saw CDEC run the Ember Spirit very consistently and very effectively all throughout D2L Season 5 Eastern Group Stage.
It's also another favorite of CDEC. I know that they play it very, very well. They're also, you know, I looked at some of their previous drafts too, and they were very much favoring some of the traditional carries and things like that. So Ember Spirit was very popular for them. Morphling was very, very strong. I doubt they will go for a Morphling here because they have both Ember and Juggernaut. Something tells me it is going to be a one-position Juggernaut. I know I've seen some of the other Chinese teams actually run the Juggernaut in the offlane, which is still also very viable. I think it was LV that did that, though, not CDEC. So. But yeah, Ember Spirit quite strong here. Very good against the Puck. It's kind of an even matchup if that ends up being the mid matchup. Puck can win it, but I think Ember has a slight edge just because if you do hit that bolus, they cannot use their phase shift out, and they're just kind of stuck there. And it's very, very scary if you do connect with that bolus. So we'll have to see how that works.
We were even watching a little bit and talking about the Puck and the Ember Spirit matchup leading up to this game, believe it or not. And, you know, it's one of those matchups where if the Ember plays patient, it doesn't make any mistakes, he should win on paper. But, of course, paper, that's one thing. There's a reason why we play the games and we don't just put down brackets and then assume who's going to win. So that's going to be an interesting matchup, as you said. The Juggernaut, as you mentioned, is, you know, and again, flashing back months ago, when you did see him, occasionally you'd see the odd out-of-pocket kind of Juggernaut mid or Juggernaut off-lane. I feel like when you lead off with a Juggernaut, though, if you're planning to send him off-lane with a first-pick Juggernaut, that's really risky. Because he can work in the off-lane, but it has to be in the right situation. Because if he gets starved out, he is hungry, and he never really gets a tummy back on him.
Well, Virtus.Pro Polar has eaten through a lot of their time, actually, down at only 12 seconds left, so really taking some time to think about this one. If it's a support, I think it needs to be one that does not die easily. Could be a Spirit Breaker here in this sense. That might be a support. It also might be off-lane. We don't know for sure, but regardless, it's okay against Ember Spirit. I mean, you can be quite annoying again with the Searing Chains and the Bolus. Or sorry, that's the same thing. The Sleight of Fist and the Bolus. But if they do pick up another support and have Spirit Breaker off-lane, which I think is the more popular thing now, I think it needs to be a support that just doesn't get run over by Ember Spirit. Because I'm looking at Ancient Apparition. I'm like, if Ember Spirit has a good start, what does Ancient Apparition do? Like, his spells aren't going to do anything. The ultimate from Ancient Apparition is not really that scary for Ember Spirit, unless he has like some ridiculous Ags timing or something like that. But yeah, I'm a little scared right now just in that sense. So we'll have to see how Virtus.Pro Polar round up their lineup.
Well, Virtus.Pro really living up to the playstyle we've seen them use. This is all very aggressive. Very aggressive composition, you know, Puck all the way to Spirit Breaker. They don't have a lot of answers to the Ember Spirit's escapability as of right now. You're talking about a Waning Rift, and you hope maybe you can combine that with a Spirit Breaker charge or maybe a Pounce, what have you. But they still really have to, they're going to be under the gun to execute here. They can't allow the Jug, if he is going to be farming, to farm that well. They can't allow the Ember Spirit all the space in the world. I do love the Ancient Apparition pickup for a reason you mentioned in passing. One way you can kind of beat this kind of aggression is to try to make them group as 5 early under towers. Now you have the Ancient Apparition, so Juggernaut's Healing Ward is not going to be anywhere near as effective in terms of trying to put together pure push. And they're actually going to go with the Disruptor pickup here in the 4th position. So this is going to be a control approach and a really nice counter pick to the Spirit Breaker in particular.
I think CDEC is really outdrafting Polar, in my opinion. I think Disruptor is probably the best support hero in the entire game against Puck. It's so good. You just have very little options to get away once he has the or not even Ags, but just the Glimpse and the ult up. It's almost impossible. It's very difficult, I'll just put it that way. And like I said, Ember Spirit, if they have Skywrath roaming on this Puck as well, if I'm assuming Puck is mid, that Puck is going to have a disaster of a time. Like, he won't be able to get off his spells fast enough against the instant cast of the Ancient Seal. And then Ember Spirit can just follow up. So even once he's done being silenced, he still can't use his spells because he's going to have the Searing Bolus or Searing Chains on him. So it's a very, very difficult draft right now, specifically for the Puck and the Ancient Apparition. So I really love that Disruptor pick. I think it's very strong.
Well, Slark's going to end up having to do a lot of work is what I think it comes down to. Like you said, the Puck's going to struggle. Spirit Breaker's going to give you what he's going to give you. We're yet to see if that's going to be a support Spirit Breaker, if it's going to be an off-lane Spirit Breaker. But the Slark is going to have to farm and farm hard because he's going to end up having to contend with Jug and Ember, who both can be extremely potent damage dealers in the mid-game if given any kind of space. And if your Puck isn't available, if he's having to play catch-up, that takes away your combat potential so much, especially with this kind of a composition. 5th pick coming up now.
Yeah, I think this needs to be like an SK or something. Let me double check. I always say this and then it's banned. No, it's not banned. Yeah, some kind of support that can like get away quickly from an Ember Spirit, not necessarily get owned by a Juggernaut unless they have Dust or something like that. I think Sand King would be actually quite effective.
Lion.
And they go with the Lion. So it has a nice disable, which is great, but I still fear also that it's very good for the Ember Spirit and Juggernaut. I will say that. But again, it is kind of like these two supports that are very, very squishy if this Ember Spirit has a good start, which I think he will because look at the backup he has. He has Disruptor and Skywrath. If they decide to roam, which I think they can because that Spirit Breaker offlane is not going to be too difficult to deal with. I think it's going to be very easy to deal with. So they give their safe lane Juggernaut some time to farm, harass out the Spirit Breaker, start moving in mid, and it's a kill, I think, every single time if they play their cards right.
I'm completely on board with you, man. Like, the Lion pick, it makes sense. It gives you a little bit of burst to burst down an Ember Spirit. If you do get the Hex, you do manage to get the Earth Spike. That's nice. But he's kind of going to be reliant on a mobility on him, and there's going to be an Axe pickup from CDEC. And I'm with you. This composition from CDEC is just so well-rounded through all phases of the game, has tons of control, and Polar is going to have to execute. There is not a lot of room for error.
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, that's their offlane player, I'm pretty sure, 7.
Yep.
I wonder if they go just straight offlane with Axe. It's not very good on Radiant because the creep equilibrium doesn't favor you on Radiant. Much rather favors the Dire side. So I'm wondering if they do some kind of aggression thing like here, like Disruptor, Skywrath, Juggernaut offlane with the tri-lane, and then just have the Axe go 1v1 against Spirit Breaker. Like, those would be amazing lanes. Axe would destroy Spirit Breaker because he's a melee hero, and then you have very good, strong supports with a Juggernaut who does tons of damage in an offlane against relatively weak supports. AA is pretty good in lane, but Lion's not that great in lane. So I wonder if we're going to see an aggro tri-lane here from CDEC.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. And like you said, this is just what CDEC has done all throughout D2L. It's subtle stuff. It's not as if they just completely beat you with nothing but a pure, just flat-out outdraft. But it's when you start to really think about it in multiple levels. You see just how brilliant they are. And more importantly, they know how to execute. So we're moving on in now. Game 1 of our leadoff best of 3. Polar taking on CDEC. Loser of this series will drop down to the lower bracket. Our second series of the day will be Evil Geniuses taking on LV Gaming, and hopefully Peter has found his way into Sin City by now. We actually did have to switch up our schedule, but let's take a look at who's handling who, beginning on the side of CDEC. It's going to be Q, playing on our Skywrath Mage. It'll be Axe, handled by 7. The Disruptor, going to be played by Garter, excellent support player. We saw him really excel on Disruptor throughout the season. Sunshine, going to be farming up the Jugger as a 1. And it's going to be Maybe, their mid player and arguably the best player on their squad on the Ember Spirit. Other side of the river, we've got FNG handling our Lion. Going to be very important. He has a good start and stays relevant. Slark, played by Illidan Stormrage, one of the hardest farmers in the game today. Mag, going to be playing on the Spirit Breaker. Puck, handled by DK Phobos here in mid. And it's going to be the stand-in, Jimmy himself, Demon, on the Ancient Apparition.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is going to be an aggro tri-lane per se from Polar. I think they just want to contest this bounty rune, but I don't think that they will win this fight if CDEC is ready. They have 4 members here. Can they get maybe the Bolus not in time? Oh, he could actually.
Oh, there's the glimpse. FNG brought back and brought down. Give me a first blood.
He pauses on himself. Maybe he's lagging. There was a little bit of stutter steps, actually on both sides, but that very nice start. How can you start a tournament better than that?
Yeah, and FNG kind enough to give us a little extra time to admire his first blood. 1-0. CDEC leads here in Game 1 of our leadoff best of 3, the D2L. Season 5 Grand Finals underway. Let's talk about the lanes and how they seem to be stacking up. 7 taking the Axe out on into the off lane. Illidan's up here by himself for the moment. We do see, Demon's going to be making his way up there, and FNG making the Walk of Shame.
The Walk of Shame, yeah. So I'm interested to see how this mid matchup goes, like we've talked about it. And I think these are perfect items as well. The pool tangos going the poor man's shield. He should probably bring himself some tangos as well. It'll help also that he just got that bounty rune too. So good stuff for him. And 7, yeah, this is exactly what I thought. Like, you cannot go off lane on Radiant with this kind of hero. He doesn't have anything to bring to the table. He can't like 1v1 a support like a hero like Puck can. So there's just nothing for him to do. He goes straight into the jungle. I think that's the right decision. Slark will free farm either way, so that's the important thing to note. And then, of course, bottom we have the Juggernaut. And actually, Mag taking a little bit of damage. I think he's going to be fine for now. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Illidan in particular. Like you said, he's going to have total free farm for the most part. Big question is going to be, how quickly do they want to get him active? Do they want to just farm him for the entirety of the game and just try to let him get ahead on his own and take the game over? Or, in my opinion, just looking at the way this game's likely to play out, is he going to have to get active and try to have impact elsewhere on the map just so the rest of his team doesn't fall that far behind?
It's hard, because like instinctively you're thinking, I think he needs to get active, because I don't think that the other members are going to, unless Puck has a really, really good time. But I still think the best way to play him is just kind of farm up and take the kills and take the fights that are smarter. Don't try to rush it and force it, because then you're not farming. If you don't get those kills, it's very detrimental. So I would say that safer route, just farm and look for safe engagements and don't try to push anything. We'll see. It all depends on how the other lanes go. Like for instance, if Puck is having an amazing time, then Illidan can just farm away. But if Puck is really struggling, the team is really struggling, then he probably should get active.
As of right now, maybe he's actually on the bad end of this lane. He's sitting at 4 CS to the 8 of DK Phobos, so they're going to be happy about that. Couple of runes picked up. Ember does manage to snag himself a DD, was helped out by 7 in that regard, while Garter on the Disruptor got the bounty at bottom.
Yeah, DD is certainly going to help him, and he'll have his bottle up in about 120 gold. So, yeah, Phobos, and if you remember from the regular season, this guy played Puck a lot. Was primarily playing him in the off lane, but played him in general just a lot for this team. And so he knows a thing or two about this hero.
Taking a look at overall CS, we can see it is Slark at the top. Sunshang right there with him, 13 and 14 respectively. Axe is actually keeping pace relatively well, moving across the map and making sure he gets his work done in the jungle. We'll have his Tranks done here shortly. And it looks like we should be in for a relatively quiet early game. What I want to see is, yes, is this going to happen? Are we going to begin to see this roaming on mid out of both Polar and CDEC? I agree with you. I think this is a situation where Polar could be under assault if and when they decide to get Garter active. Looks like for now, though, they just want to keep things stable.
Yeah, FNG hanging out in mid for a little bit of support just in case the supports do roam on. They don't have a ward down here, so when they're not pulling, they do need to be a little bit careful. And Mag needs to give them the heads up if they are not showing in lane and not pulling. So, yep, that's going to be the scary thing. Do they have dust or smoke on them? That's the question. I'm checking their heroes. They don't actually have smoke on either of these heroes. And again, I agree.
Demon has some. If they want to roam.
Yeah, I meant CDEC. So they don't have. He brought something out actually, I think. It's boots for himself, but he had first blood, so he's not too bad in this farm department. Disruptor level 3, so he's got a level 2 glimpse. But yeah, I would like to see them maybe be a little active on DK Phobos, especially before he hits level 6. Because it's a very, very easy kill with that the silence and the bullets up.
I feel like right now, I mean, it could just be that CDEC has a really accurate grasp of how things are going across the map. You take a look at the levels, you can already see Polar beginning to fall behind fairly considerably. They've got 3 level 2s right now, Lion, Spirit Breaker, as well as the Ancient Apparition. And with that early level 1, I mean, maybe that's enough. We do see Polar continuing to keep FNG nearby and in pocket. 4-minute rune will be a bounty at top. It's going to be a haste at bottom. Bounty will be bottled up by Puck, and Q's going to babysit this haste. Looks like, yeah, they're just going to wait for maybe to drop on down. So continues to stay quiet.
I'm interested to see what flavor Sunshang decides to go with for this Juggernaut in terms of items, because I've seen a plethora of different items across the board, not only in just NEL, but just in pubs and other matches and even some of the Chinese teams. I think Blink is paramount. I think whatever item build you go, I think Blink is so damn important on this hero. It's just so effective. And not only initiating to get that perfect ulti when they're not near creeps or whatever, but just also spinning, and then no magic damage can hit you, so it's much easier to actually blink defensively away. I just think it's an all-around great item. Outside of that, I don't really care, but I am interested to see what he goes for.
Well, taking a look everywhere else. I'm with you on the Juggernaut, by the way. I'm curious to see, like, the Blink. He's already got his phase up. Blink could be coming up next. After that, Scepter, great item. Or do you just want to go straight hard carry? I mean, you see these hybrid builds where they go even like a late Battle Fury, that kind of a thing. I've been seeing a little bit of a resurgence of that. But for the most part, it's just wide open. I can't help it. Maybe I'm just old school. I actually still like, and it's probably not going to happen if he does decide to go Blink first, but like Shadow Blade Scepter just makes you so elusive and so deadly across the map.
Sure.
But for right now, both teams just happy to let things stick where they are. We're at 5 minutes in. We'll take a look at the net worth. And yeah, about what you'd expect. Looks like our Juggernaut is actually on top, just barely. Behind that, Puck is winning mid, but only just slightly. So given the first 5 minutes, who do you think's actually come out ahead in terms of how we expect these two teams to scale into the mid game?
Well, I think this is good for VP Polar, actually. I think these supports don't want to fight early, per se. Like, Lion definitely needs levels. Agent Apparition's very, very strong with the ultimate. And they're actually smoking right now going towards mid. So with this passive game, I still think that CDEC has some very, very strong late game potential with the Ember Spirit and the Jug.
Oh, maybe.
Actually, yeah.
Hasted Hexed. He's got 7 right beside him. 7's going to move on in. Beautiful Earth Spike, though. Maybe he's going to be able to rim that away. Demon, in the meantime, caught out, and they're not going to pursue 7 up to the high ground. Here comes Maybe. Still had his haste active, thought better of it, and backed off. Garter, in the meantime, found himself an invis, and looks like he may hang around mid and try to find some payback.
Yeah, so a very nice evasive way to get away from that smoke. And here we go. Garter's actually set up mid. Here we go. Are they going to go? Not quite
There's
sure
the
yet.
phase shift. They've got Mag behind him near the tier 1. Garter showing a lot of patience, has a little, about 1/3 of his invis time left. And here comes Maybe. He forces the phase shift. There's going to be the searing chains. They got him, glimpsed him back into the kinetic field. And this will be, he's going to buy some time. Still going to be an easy kill. And Mag just can't do anything. Gets a bash, though. But the Remnant should be enough to get Maybe. Will he make it back? No, he can't make it back. Finally. Does manage to make it back. Now, Mag may have overstepped a little bit. Caught by the kinetic field. And he's going to have to charge away. There's going to be an Earth Spike to buy some time. And Mag will be able to make it up to the high ground and make it up to safety. So 2-0 now.
They're chasing him. They're chasing him. If they get a little slight of vision right there, oh, they couldn't find him. As it is dark time. It is darkness and nighttime. All right, there we go. But very nice kill. I was very patient of the Disruptor just to wait and make sure that the Ember Spirit got his full mana, came back. They need to make sure that he put that Q on him too, so he had the full vision so he could glimpse him back. Very nice kill.
2-0 again. It's 7.5 minutes in. Take a look at our gold graph. 1,500 overall gold lead for CDEC right now. And the experience right around 1K. That's about what you would expect. There's going to be a coil spent on Maybe in mid. F&G's right there. He will Remnant back up to the high ground. Remnant's through the coil snap. Now they look to re-engage. Nice spaceship from Phobos. Manages to dodge the concussive shot. And they're going to be able to avoid taking anything else. Down at bottom, Sunshine continuing to farm up. He's actually going to go straight for his Mask of Madness. So going with a pure right-click damage build. We already see he's got 1 point in the Blade Dance. He skipped Healing Ward entirely right now. So yeah, going pure right-click on this Juggernaut.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably, well, I've seen a lot of Mask of Madness for this Juggernaut, and it's quite effective. Gives you lots of good attack speed. That works well with your ulti. I was going to say one thing about this. The Lion. I think the Lion just really needs to prioritize getting level 6 because those ganks that he had on mid are just, they're never going to happen, especially onto an Ember Spirit. If he pops that shield before you even gank, it's over. You cannot get that gank off. So there's no question about it that he needs to get this level 6 fast on Lion. Jimmy, how's he doing? He's level 5.5, not too bad. Once he gets that level 6 as well, it's very effective, especially against the Juggernaut, who doesn't have Healing Ward just yet, so it's not that big of a deal. And yep, there's that Mask of Madness.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know that if you go Mask of Madness here, I mean, value points in the Healing Ward are nice, but at this point, like if you just want to try to run them over, just about makes more sense to just go more points in the Blade Dance. Really nice crit in that passive, really allows you to peak in terms of damage output at a nice time in the mid game if you want to. Taking a look at our Skywrath Mage, Q's been kind of quiet. He showed up a time or two, but really hasn't been super impactful as of yet. He's sitting at level 4.5, level 6 going to be very important for him and his team. It is level 6 for Axe, so ready to drop the hammer and cull some blades whenever he wants to. Illidan, we haven't really talked a whole hell of a lot about. He's sitting at 68 CS. He's actually right there with Sun Shing. Surprising to see him at the bottom, given he's had free farm. But again, I think the question that stands out is when does he get moving? When does he get active? His build thus far is a Midas, so it looks like he just wants to farm and farm well.
I think he goes Midas, and then I feel like he goes Sange and Yasha before the Blink, if I remember correctly. Although, of course, he could change it up depending on what he wants and what his team needs for this game. Nice pulling again from Demon. He's just constantly sitting up here, and I think this is the right thing to do. I think they just need to play this safe and wait until they get their big ultimates on specifically him and Lion. Lion's still only level 4, has not got hardly any experience in the last 2 minutes, which is pretty detrimental. And here we go with a very aggressive Smoke 8 coming up top. And this is what I'm talking about. I feel like these supports are just going to get kind of run over with a good start from CDEC. Here we go.
Ready to catch Demon. Demon, yep. Took a side step, and that's going to be his death. That's going to make it 3-0 as CDEC finds an easy one. And with 7, level 7, And only about 750 gold, give or take about 800 actually, towards his needed until he has his blink. They may decide to just take this jungle over. Like, I honestly don't know how Polar can begin to combat them if they do move into the jungle aggressively. I mean, you take a look at the Spirit Breaker, he's getting close to an urn, so that's nice. But he's just now level 5. They need a lot more out of him to really have an impact.
Yeah, and I like the restraint there from maybe to choose not to use his Flame Guard. I think that was smart. And it just shows that he's very composed and thinking about the whole long game, not just like small kills here and there. Little small deal, but it could make a
hang on in mid. Phobos eating some damage. It's going to be a coil spin on Maybe. Maybe doesn't have enough mana for a remedy. He's being charged. And this aggressiveness might end up blowing up in his face. Miss on the pounce from Illidan. And now the charge. Oh, beautiful Static Storm, and that completely breaks his fight apart. Mag actually rushed into it before deciding to turn around. Now we're going to have to pounce on the Maybe. And finally, looks like Polar will find their way onto the board. So very aggressive play on both sides in mid. Ends up being a very high priority kill for VP.
Did he just go back in? I thought he was fine, so I looked somewhere else and he maybe...
Yeah, he just re-engaged.
Yeah, looking for an opening for a kill, so a little bit of a misstep there from Maybe. It was a nice sidestep earlier from the Slark, dodging that pounce and all. And kind of funny to see the charge just continue going through that the Static Storm and the kinetic field of the Disruptor. But yeah, very nice kill. But Juggernaut, look at his CS. I always keep the CS board longer than I showed up, but it's 90 CS for him at 11 minutes, which is, you think about how fast someone can farm like SF. Oh wow, you can get about 100 CS in this if you're really farming fast in the jungle, but this is pretty damn good for a Juggernaut that's not maxing his spin and just right-clicking his way to farm.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's surprising to me. I mean, Illidan's just one of those players. If you ever give him space in a free farm lane, he just explodes. I mean, there are a few players that are like that, and he's one of the best in the world for sure. And to see him being topped by another player is actually surprising. We're going to see Demon helped out by his team as he's able to make it away. Maybe had to Remnant as he ran into some unfriendly faces as he pursued through the jungle there. He will find himself an Invis rune to bottle up now. Might decide to get aggressive. He's got 3 teammates up in that top lane. And it looks like we will have a quick pause. Hopefully everything is good. A little bit of lag. And unfortunately, I really hope it's just, okay, it looks like we're good for now. But with this much going on here at CES, easy to understand, we actually had a scare of an internet outage earlier. Hopefully that's going to be it.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, I'm very curious again to see what the Juggernaut goes for. Like, Axe is always a very phenomenal choice, getting the low cooldown on the ultimate. It's funny because the low cooldown on the ultimate is so great, which is why I'm wondering, I've been seeing this build a lot with not maxing Blade Fury. I think it's very important just for the cooldown reduction. It goes down 4 seconds each time, but we see some action possibly up top. Yep.
There's a charge that's going to catch you. Here comes the Ice Blast in. Beautiful Static Storm as well. CDEC caught from behind and pincered in. That's 2-0 so far. Garter in trouble, but here's Maybe. Trying to do something to clean it up. They managed to get Garter, but now FNG could be in some trouble. That's just Maybe going to work on his own. DK Phobos phase shifts, doesn't have a ton of mana. Throws out. Yep, there's going to be the Remnant on top of him. Going to continue to try to pursue him out. And Maybe secures himself a double kill, but at what cost as Mag decides to re-engage. And he's going to be chased up to the high ground. One more Remnant, no! Got a timely bash, but Illidan ends up dropping behind the fight as well. Now Maybe back in the fight after a buyback. And Mag caught from behind, double kill for the Junk Demon drops. That's a triple kill for Sun Ching. And we see that damage output show itself in awesome fashion. 8-5. Polar got some kills on the board, but it cost him so much more.
I mean, he participated in the last 3 kills alone with just auto attacks, right clicks. Can you imagine how that's going to be when he gets an actual damage item on top of that? It's going to be very, very scary. And this is what I talked about. Yeah, the buyback coming out from Ember, which is not ideal, but I will say that the Chinese, and specifically Maybe, are very good about their Remnant usage. I think much better than the Western players are, quite frankly. I think they're very, very good about always keeping one back when they want to be defensive. Here we go with the charge. Is he going to complete this, though? I think it's a mistake.
Searing Chains, and now 7 comes back in. Got the call, trying to drag him back with it. Missed on the Calling Blade. He is going to end up dropping, but not as smooth as they would have liked in any way, shape, or form. Nonetheless, CDEC continues to pile it on, and we're beginning to see how potent this Juggernaut pick can be. He's gone Yasha after his Mask of Madness, and at this point, this is what we both feared looking at the draft. CDEC with this kind of momentum, with this kind of team composition that can just control Polar so well, they're going to have no problem moving onto their side of the map and just refusing to back off.
Yeah, they just have run-at-em heroes. Like, there's nothing that VP Polar can do. They have many heroes. There comes a finger actually out onto CDEC 7. He's getting charged. The extra vision does help out with the auto attacks for FNG. Jimmy had a secure kill just in case, but nicely played.
Down at bottom, we see the tier 1 does end up dropping. Illidan going to try to make it away. Actually missed on the slide of fist. Illidan continuing to hang back. He is going Shadow Blade, actually, as he's picked up his Shadow Amulet, and he will manage to scurry to safety. No surprise to see the Shadow Blade coming out, and he actually just completed it with that Tower Gold. 9-6. CDEC leads, and Polar, while they're in some dire straits, speaking of Illidan, wow, he's actually going to engage. There's the immediate spin out. And looks like Illidan will be able to scurry to safety. He's hanging around, but not going to re-engage. There is a charge coming onto Garter, though. They're going to be charging deep if they decide, nah, he canceled. So, not wanting to take too many chances. 2 were smoked here, Demon and FNG moving through. And I think this is what VP has to do. They have to try to reassert their own personality onto this map. They can't let CDEC dictate the pace.
Well, it's good. I'm really happy to see that the AA is still getting levels. I was very fearful that they were just going to get kind of trampled on. He wasn't going to get very many levels. He's level 8, which is actually not quite bad. I mean, compare that to level 6 Skywrath and level 7 Disruptor. They seem to be in the driver's seat, but they're lacking levels just a tiny little bit. But here again, I see another smoke aggressively coming out from CDEC. They're looking for blood. Do they have dust for this Slark is a question, too. I'm wondering. They have 3 sentries actually on Carter, so they're ready for that.
Oh, no. This could be bad. Oh, 7 actually whiffs completely on the call. FMG going to be caught by the Static Storm Kinetic Field. Here we go. Jugger trying to spin the Ice Blast off the mark. And this is kind of a broken apart fight. Really misplays on both sides. Jug gets off the Omni Slash. Nice phase shift from Phobos, though. That's going to be his death, as a matter of fact. Now Q locked down and blown up. 2-0, and this smoke is blown up in Polar's face. 7 engaged from behind. Here comes Maybe back in, though. Maybe wants to re-engage, burning down FNG and Demon. We're going to see 7 hits up dropping. 3 for 1 thus far. They got FNG and nobody else. Illidan charging back. Here comes Mag. Mag gets the Urn charge off onto him. There's the charge. Doesn't have his ulti. Beautiful timing on the searing change. Even gets off a slide of fist for good measure, but going one-on-one, he's going to be forced to Remnant. Remnant's back up halfway through the Radiant side. Jungle will throw a Remnant down low and has it just in case. Instead, we'll be able to TP to safety. So, what looked like could have been a huge coup for CDEC that time, VP capitalizes on the misplay by 7 and manages to go 2 for 1.
Yeah, so I didn't see that. Can you fill me on what it looked like? He just went on someone and they blinked away. Was it the puck?
Yeah, he tried to blink down here. And,
okay.
Actually, there we go. Down in this general area, there we are. Blinked and whiffed completely on the call. Up at top, we're going to have, oh, nice Hex. The finger as well, trying to drain his mana. There's a charge coming down as well. The Ice Blast is going to be off the mark. Can they catch him? Does he have his own? He's got his ulti in 4 seconds, and he actually canceled it.
Are we hearing boos every time he cancels?
I know.
What a man down from Mag. But I think it was also a little bit of a misplay from the Juggernaut there. I think he needed to be much more liberal. Here we go.
Call on to Mag. Mag going one-on-one. There's that big Mystic Flare. Able to clean him up with the
nice glimpse.
Blade Dance, and yeah, beautiful glimpse on the FMG as he's going to be next on the list. CDEC executing well that time around and securing a double kill for Garter of all people that time. And they should get this tier 1 quite easily out of it. Elsewhere, we can see Illidan is continuing to farm. He's got 1,500 gold-ish tucked away along with his Shadow Blade and his Midas. Maybe, though, farming well as well. He's got his phase, his drums, his bottle, and 1,200 gold towards what one would imagine is going to be a battle fury.
Yeah. We got to see some dunks here coming up from 7. I think he's missed like 7 or something. No. It can be hard sometimes. Sometimes you get in a position where, like, you have to use it. Like, you only have this amount of time to use it, and if you don't use it at all, you're just not going to be in range for it anymore. And I know exactly how that feels, so maybe that's just the position that he's been in.
All right. Elsewhere, CDEC has completely taken over this jungle from VP. And there's going to be a charge. Yep, they're going to catch Garter napping. 7's right there. Beautiful 2-mana spike. Ice Blast on the mark. Wasn't even needed. So CDEC overstaying their welcome and paying dearly. And Polar, despite looking like they were going to lose a lot of momentum as we got closer to 20 minutes, has nonetheless managed to reassert themselves onto the map in a really impressive fashion.
Yep, I still think that the farm is immense on Juggernaut. They're going to have problems with that with the Manta coming up here soon. But I agree. I think that they're doing really good work with this Spirit Breaker and just constantly charging them when they're in vision and sticking to it and just waiting for an opportunity.
Finally, Q does drop in mid. They caught him out. There's going to be an Omni Slash, bounce on some creeps, and Phobos tried to phase shift, but not quite enough. As they caught him from behind, they end up trading Puck for Skywrath. Certainly not a worthy trade if you're VP.
That looked kind of weird and ugly. I thought that was going to be a waste of an ultimate, but good thing for Juggernaut. He got a little bit of RNGesus in his favor. And the Manta, I think it is coming out and is completed, so very nice clip for him. Sub 20-minute Manta with the Mask of Madness. He's going to be hitting like a truck. Can evade the silences that will get placed there by Puck, which is the biggest thing for him. And just kind of, creating a little bit of confusion.
We got 2 spying on Roshan as we speak. And we'll see if VP wants to try to be cute and move in. They actually got some vision of 7 trying to chase him down. And looks like he will be able to make it back to safety. So in the meantime, VP's actually doing a really nice job of counterpunching and continuing to keep some sort of aggression up on the map while freeing up space for Illidan. And Illidan, I mean, this is just what the guy does. Take a look at his net worth. He's at 10,000. He's actually ahead of the Juggernaut now, despite how farmed that Jugger happens to be. 3,500 gold, Midas Treads, and a Shadow Blade. What do you think? Go straight Scotty or go ahead and buy the Blink? You would think he would have bought the Blink by now if that was a choice.
On Illidan?
Yep.
I see him go Sange and Yasha a lot, but if that's the case, then I don't know why he's pulling up this much gold.
Right.
That would also be the same argument if he wanted to buy a Blink, why is he pulling up this much gold? So I don't know. Is it just going to be, maybe just a Basher? I've seen him go Sange and Yasha a lot, though. That's why I keep mentioning that. So whatever it is, he's saving up a lot of gold that he probably should be spending, but we'll see. And I think VP is okay with taking this late. If you just look at the item build coming out from, for instance, the Puck, he's gone for the Midas at a very relatively late timing. I think it was like 7 or 18 minutes he picked it up, maybe a little bit later than that. So that tells you that they are ready, and it is going to be the BKB. I don't know why I didn't think of this. Of course he's saving up that much money for that. So that makes a lot more sense. So he's ready to fight now. Of course, you have to be careful about the ultimate from Juggernaut, but that's the only thing.
Charge on the 7. 7 eats the big bad finger. There's going to be an Ice Blast. Hell, they didn't need it again. Jimmy's basically lighting off fireworks. The damage output from VP is so sharp, they don't even need the Ice Blast most of the time. But we're beginning to see just how potent this lineup from VP happens to be when they all get on the same page. And I actually feel like Polar has outmaneuvered CDEC for about the last 5 to 8 minutes. And this has really put them in a great position. We're basically dead even in gold, and we actually see Polar having an experience lead.
Yeah, I think it's funny because they're moving around very often clumped as 4 or 5. And normally that would be bad when you're not getting too many kills. Like even just that one kill like that, I was instinctively thinking like, oh, that's not worth it. They're going to have better farm on the other heroes that are spreading the map. But I'm looking at Emperor, and I'm actually not that impressed with his farm. Like his net worth is right there neck and neck with pretty much with the Puck, who has gone for a Midas, of course. But I would expect it to be just a little bit higher on the Ember. So we'll see if he can up that farm. And he has gone for a little bit of a different build in the Western scene, but I would say more standard in the Eastern, and that's the Yasha on the Ember Spirit. I think it's primarily just a good overall item for agility heroes, and just gives them some good movement for the Remnants, but I do prefer, in a general sense, the Battle Fury, so we'll see if he does still want to go for that.
Yeah, we saw that a lot, actually. In particular out of maybe going Yasha Battle Fury. He just they like the movement speed, man. Yeah. And we can see CDEC hooking up with Maybe. They have 4 smoked, and they're not going to find anybody home, so this is a huge waste of time and another win for Polar.
Yeah, and that net worth is just getting very, very scary on the Slark. So just picked up his BKB. Has another 1,400 gold, and Basher, of course, is one of the most obvious things for Slark. Is very, very good. Just gives you another element to the hero. I imagine he'll go for something like that. Probably probably for the long range Abyssal Blade. Oh, here we go. That's a BKB usage.
That fat finger, though, as Illidan might end up wanting that pretty badly. He's got 70 seconds, and actually CDEC was in range to try to push this tower. Doesn't look like that's going to be the call. So he may get away with it still. 10-second BKB expended for that. Not the best usage.
Actually, that illusion was doing a lot of damage, too. Like, he took him down to, like, what, half HP or something like that? Yeah, not too good, but here comes the Manta illusion, speaking of those, from Juggernaut. He's got another 1,500 gold, so more damage. Maybe an Axe would be great for him, too. We'll have to see.
Looks like they're trying to bait this out. CDEC has got their 2 supports hanging around back. And Illidan's there under cover of Shadow Blade. Let's see how aggressive they want to play this. He's playing way far back, so he sniffs this out. He smells rad. Here comes the Ice Blast. That's going to catch just barely Garter. But Jugger happy to just lead with the chin on this tier 2, and it doesn't look like they actually want to contest this at all. Knowing that this particular position, especially with 7 being where he is right here, this is such a tough tower to defend whenever you have a lot of Blink heroes. And yeah, FNG, he's just going to come forward. There's going to be a TPM. We're going to see FNG be able to make it back behind that, though. Skywrath does end up dropping. And we're going to have a charge now, maybe trying to make it away. Illidan uses his BKB. Gardner's going to end up dead from behind. And now up at top, we see Seven trying to do what work he can, but Polar helping to run them out. It's 2 for 1, soon to be 3 for 1, as they get 7 as well. So another big win for Polar, trading away. Oh, they got maybe! Managed to charge him. He has no mana. Can they get on top of him? Yep, they're going to catch him from behind. There's going to be the... couldn't get him. Able to bottle himself up enough of mana. The Waning Rift, not enough to lock him down long enough. Still another big, big win for Polar, as they now take a kill lead, 17-14.
Okay, maybe it's moving for a space kill. I don't know. I'll figure this out. But I don't know if CDEC knows what Murphy's Law is, but I swear to God, everything that could go wrong for CDEC is going wrong. It's like the 4th time I've seen a very lucky stun or something that gets in the way of an instant blink from Axe. The second he blinked and he was stunned, it was not for him. It was for someone else.
Right.
And I've seen that happen 2 or 3 times. It's very unfortunate. And then I don't know if that charge hitting maybe was intentional, but I think it just clipped him. I think because obviously he was charging the Juggernaut, and he just got clipped by it accidentally, so to speak. So very, very unfortunate things happening for CDEC. Obviously, their positioning could be a little bit better, but I think that VP Polar does have a little bit of luck on their side, but they are playing it and executing quite nicely too.
Yeah, right now, I think Polar's just moving better, and CDEC is suffering quite a bit. We can actually hear them back in our caster's pit. They're chattering a lot on their side of the stage, so they know something is up and that they've got to try to get things back together as soon as they can. The Manta done on Ember Spirit, so going straight up Manta style.
Yep, and I seen Ultior picked up by Slark, so that's probably going to be the Scotty. So he's going to hold off on the Basher, at least for now. Scotty's a fantastic item, obviously, on Slark for many, many reasons. But yeah, it's just, I think the Manta, just for the dispelling of the silence of Puck, is the biggest thing. And once you have that to get out of, then really the only hero you have to really fear is the Lion. But Lion didn't go for a blink. He went for an early 4-staff, so he doesn't have the best initiation in the world. Here we go with the smoke.
They're going to catch him from behind.
Oh, no.
And CDEC in trouble in a big way. They're going to see a spin out of 1. 7, though, caught from behind. There's going to be the Searing Change to maybe. That allows him to finally get off a Culling Blade. But now, ooh, barely missed. Illidan there, caught in the kinetic field. Do they want to turn it around? They do. Searing Changer there, and a buyback, as you mentioned, on Jugger. Sansheng has to try to make this pay for itself. It's a 2 for 2, 3 for 2 rather. And yeah, that's actually not booing, that's mooing.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
We figured it out, guys. Thanks.
I was like, why are they flaming Max so much? Poor guy.
But yeah, that's a wasted buyback on the Jugger. Came back out and did nothing but make scary faces at him.
Yeah, that's these fights. It's a very nice move from VP Polar. Like, they're farming in their base. It's not like one hero's being caught out across the map on the other side, you know, on VP Polar's side. Like, they're farming their safest point in the jungle, literally, and they're getting smoked on. And just nice double stun to start things off from Lion. Sacrifices life for the greater good. Buyback, as you mentioned, on Jug. Not the best scenario, honestly, for CDEC. They looked so good right out of the gate, but with this immense amount of farm on Slark, I'm actually getting quite scared for them.
Yeah, like at this point, I mean, and this comes down to what we've talked about on and on and on, is just how good a Slark becomes. I mean, whenever you get a Scotty on him, especially if it's well-timed, and at this pace it damn well will be, he can just, I mean, just crush through teams. And because he's so elusive, because he's so survivable with a Scotty up on him, and just the way that Essence Shift works, he actually is really good at breaching the base too. So you can go high ground a lot earlier, and this is just what Illidan does. And really, this has been the calling card of Polar. Taking a look, yeah, poor Demon, still trying to find himself maybe a Scepter. He's got his point booster up, has had that for a while. Phobos picked up that Yules to go with his Midas and his Blink. Mag is actually on his way to a BKB and not too far from it. Only needs about another 675 gold or so.
Yeah, very nice items coming out here for Polar. It looked like they were wanting to smoke or something. They were pinging themselves and standing around here. They also have better access to the Roshan. I believe they just counted that ward on that new main hill, I want to say. So there's not really too much vision. Just placed a ward here was the Skywrath Mage. I don't think they saw actually the Lothar's Illidan come in here. Illidan's looking for blood. 7 hasn't had the greatest game, honestly. Had a very nice early blink, but hasn't been able to connect with it, quite honestly. And looks like he's going to go for a BKB of his own. Yeah,
you're being kind. 2, 7, and 5 on Axe. That's not what you want. And this is, you know, 30 minutes in, Axe tends to, won't say fall off, but he certainly loses his impact. And we just haven't seen any impact at all during his wheelhouse time in the first 30 minutes. And speaking of, look at this. Polar has built themselves coming up on a 7,500 gold lead. The experience is about in that vicinity as well. And, you know, ultra late game. I mean, Jug, as you mentioned, he hits like a truck, but so does Slark. I actually think that at this phase of the game, given the status of things and how well Polar has done, I like their chances looking ahead to the next 30.
I think it's a wash, honestly, when it comes to the late game. Like, when one team is pushing up into high ground, if they don't have a very, very clear advantage from the get-go, like, they just picked off 2 heroes, I think it becomes difficult in trying to say who's going to win that fight. Like, I mean, Slark is very, very strong, but he's like the focal point of your CDEC. If you get him caught out, you pretty much win that fight, honestly, unless, you know, Puck really, really gets some farm up. But, like, if they're pushing up high ground, like I said, there's no casualties before that point. You just go on that Slark, you jump in with Axe, actually connect with the call, and you're good to go. But it really comes down to execution. I know people say that a lot, but this is very, very true for this game.
Looked like we were going to see the most typical trade in Dota, Tier 2 top, in exchange for a Roshan on the Dire side. But the Wards in the Vision helping CDEC out as they sniff it out and they force VP back. There's the Scotty done now on Illidan. And this man is sitting on a lot of farm. Coming up on 17,000 overall net worth, 12.5 is the next highest. That's actually on the Ember.
Ooh.
So we've seen, this is going to be a big clash. Going to run right into each other. Illidan gets a pounce off. There's going to be a connect field as well. And BKB's off on both sides. In the meantime, the thing is finally split up. Mag ends up taking the spill. It's going to be a 1-for-1 thus far behind that. Phobos trying to find some safety. There's going to be a coil spent on Sansheng behind that. Maybe in trouble. Tries to remnant and managed to. And there's going to be the Omni Slash with the help of the Searing Chains and the Sleight of Fist. It's a 2-for-2. It's a 2-for-2, but it's actually a big win for CDEC. They trade 2 supports. What may as well be a support in poor 7, who has not had a great game, and they managed to get Illidan, most importantly. That Battle Fury is finally on the way now for Maybe. And that is such a gigantic win, and CDEC might have a chance at Roshan here. They've already blinked 1 in, and yeah, they're just going to go ahead and try to swipe this, and hell yeah, look at this damage.
Yeah, they do have to be a little bit careful with the AA ulti. I imagine it should be coming out here soon from Jimmy. It's level 2. It will do some decent damage. Yep, there it goes. So will this be enough to fend them off? I'm not quite sure. The damage is, yeah, they're kind of scared. Sansheng is kind of going back and forth just a little bit, and I think this is enough to actually hold them off until Slark gets back. We'll see. This is why Roshan is, DD picked up for Maybe. That could be a very, very good tool to have in the next fight. Yeah, that was actually a very, very nice TD.
Yep. And that's going to be an Aegis, and that is a huge win. I think they pull all the way back if they don't get that DD.
Could be, yeah. It would be hard to say. Like, he probably would have walked in, saw how much damage he could do without it, and then just kind of, you know, judge from there whether he needs to stay or go.
VP loses out on that engagement. Still, they maintain a kill lead, and they maintain a gold lead, but not nearly as large a one as they had moments ago. Everything coming back down towards even, and now with Maybe, given the build he went, he has his Battle Fury done now. This is where things have to get scary.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we've seen this guy play this hero all throughout D2L in the regular season, and very, very impressive stuff. Even in games where like this, when they had some very scary points, or even much, much worse games where it looked like they were completely out, like he was able to carry this with this hero. So yeah, I'm expecting good things from him, and I think that the Juggernaut needs to be a little less frugal in these fights with his ultimate. I've seen it multiple times where he's kind of waiting for the perfect opportunity. Obviously it worked out in the end right there, but who knows? Maybe if he casts it right away, gets 2 kills right off the bat, it's a completely different fight.
Ice Blast going to catch a bunch, and Illidan's going to move right in. Gets 1 kill right off the back. 7 once again. Can't engage, can't make anything happen. Maybe now caught from behind by Illidan, being burned down, forced the Remnant away, and does manage to make it back to safety, but only temporarily. Has to Remnant again, and he is going to be caught by the Yules from DK Phobos. Brought down, Aegis popped out, and he has no friendly faces in the realm, as he's going to be, once again, taking a spill. And Polar continues to hold the line. And that Aegis, that Roshan, ends up coming to no avail for CDEC.
I just don't think they're respecting the positioning of VP Polar, and VP Polar just taking the fight so much more smartly. Like, every engagement is just one pickoff right away. FNG's not being frugal with his ultimate like some people are. Like, I think Juggernaut just needs to get in there and ultimate. Or if you look at FNG, for example, just uses his spell, ultimate, runs away, waits for his cooldowns, and looks for the next best engagement.
Yep.
And they're getting these pickoffs and bursting 2 heroes down right before the fight even starts. So I think that VP Polar just being much smarter about these team fights.
There's going to be a BKB done on Mag as well. So his ability to get into these fights and stay standing and just continue to mix it up, hope for those bashes, goes up considerably. And I honestly, I mean, when you look at how CDEC's taking these fights, they have the ability to output damage, and they should, in theory, have the ability to control VP in terms of how these engagements play out. But with the BKB up on Slark, that changes things quite a lot. And yeah, I mean, even just Phobos having the Yules, I feel like they had a huge window of opportunity through which they could have just run Polar over. They didn't succeed in doing so. And now Polar, again, as the game gets later, I like their chances. Couple of bashers out on both sides, by the way.
Oh, Blink. Oh, okay. This is where Juggernaut's going to start to get a little bit easier to play. So there's no excuses now. He has every opportunity to get in there and get out. With the Blink, if he needs to use the Mantle to disable Silence to use his spells in the first place, he has that option to do so. So I think it should be easier. And I totally agree with you. I think that they're just not. I think the biggest thing is the supports are just dying right off the bat.
Yep.
Like they're not casting any spells. They need to play back a little bit further. Versus look at Skybreath, he's 2-7-6, and they had the much better start. It should have been a lot easier for these supports, but they're just playing way too far up. This is a big pickup, though, for CDEC. Like this BKB, like I said, how many times have we seen him just blink in and get stunned or hexed immediately, and he can't even cast that spell? This is going to make it a lot easier for him to initiate.
And they really do need that initiation. For the most part, that's where Polar's been winning these engagements. They're just getting in a better position. They're making things count more. Their AoEs are on point, whereas for CDEC, very often they're lacking. And now, with the 2 blinks up on the Jug, and of course, Seven's had his for a while, but having the BKB up on 7, as you mentioned. They got to get a lot of mileage out of these 2 heroes. They haven't gotten the most synergy out of them yet, but if they can put it together, they still have an excellent chance to go well into the late game.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, maybe, oh, here comes a smoke. Finally, an aggressive smoke again coming out from CDEC. They did a lot of these in the early game. It might be broken by Illidan, and it is.
And they're going to go right on the Q once again. Q trying to make it away. In the meantime, there's going to be the battle raging here in the river. Ice Blast comes in. Illidan's still up and fighting. 7 uses his BKB. We're going to have Phobos. Has to Yules himself. Mag on the high ground using his own BKB. Got the ultimate. Now 7's going to end up dropping. Here's maybe. This is what they need. A great Earth Spike, though, from FNG. They're going to end up not quite getting the kill, but maybe. Still up and standing. They're going to try to chase down Demon. Looks like he thought about it.
He can go to that Remnant right there with Linus and pick him off if he wants to. Oh, he's not going to.
Nope, thought better of it. 3 for 2. Once again, though, that's a win for Polar, and Illidan's not done. Got him in the immediate Remnant back, and he's going to TP. Oh, beautiful play by FNG. 4 staff, Hex, Earth Spike, and Illidan brings the pain.
Oh, he gets away!
Oh, yeah!
No. The attack follows, and FNG gets the kill. Very, very nicely done by FNG.
Oh, man.
Knowing that he could still be of some use if he just stayed in the vicinity, and that's the best way to be playing these supports, is don't just think that you cast your spells and run away, go heal because you can't do much left. If you still regenerate away from those cooldowns, just be in the vicinity ready to go, and that's exactly what he did. Very nicely played by FNG.
FNG looking good all game long. We can see his impact has been felt across the board. 8-5-12. For him, involved in 20 of the 29 kills that have been tallied by VP so far. 10-2-10, not bad for Illidan either. And CDEC, I don't know. Again, I just feel like VP is just performing better, and Illidan wants to keep that up as he's going to get 2.
Dear Lord.
Chops 4 times, gets 2 kills. That's 4 down, only 7, who once again has had a rough one. Still standing. They're going to push on this tier 1 here in mid. Now, I'm not going to lie, Trout, coming into this, especially after the draft, we both considered CDEC to be favorites. And I just love the way that this VP squad is playing so far. They can keep this up. There's going to be a Scepter for Jimmy as well. Excellent item, very important item in terms of trying to break the base.
And it's a very scary scenario. They need to wait until they get the proper initiation onto the Slark. It needs to be the Axe. They need to coordinate that because last time we saw the ultimate come out from Juggernaut, he bashed him once through his ultimate, so the Slark couldn't use his own ultimate. But then after that, you don't have enough damage to actually kill him before he does cast that. So they have to.
Oh,
really
maybe overstepping a bit. And yeah, they're going to try to turn this around, though. He got Hex to begin things. FNG got a dominating streak go, but Mag now in trouble. They managed to bring down 7. They do track down Mag from behind. So they go 1 for 1 there. And now they're going to come back in. Here comes Illidan trying to make things happen. He's going to be glimpsed back.
There it is.
There's that Static Storm they've been looking for. They can't do anything to him, though. He was able to Shadow Blade. Now, whiff on the Mystic Flare.
Not ulting.
And finally, they're going to be able to catch him? No. He's going to be able to make it away despite the Urn Charge. And they do finally manage to bring down the puck. So odd sequence there, and like you said, we're just not seeing all that tight execution.
I think Juggernaut just needs to be much more aggressive in these fights and just run out there, cast his ultimate, and just and look for the next engagement with his auto attacks, because he does do a lot of damage with his auto attacks. But yeah, I think he definitely had the opportunity to cast it right there, especially if not earlier. So that was a good fight for CDEC. Obviously, they didn't get the kill on the Slark, which is the optimal thing. But Slark, oh my god, look at this. He actually has enough for that Abyssal Blade if he wants it. He's using his Shadow Blade right now. I don't think he gets this kill solo, and probably wants to, maybe just going to try it. We'll see.
Yep.
Pressures him back.
Either way, forcing the Remnant out frees up a little extra space for him to farm. And just look at where CDEC's now having to play this game. They are basically playing between their Tier 2s and Tier 3s. What couple Tier 2s are actually still standing?
Oh, see, oh, no, he doesn't. Down bottom right, Juggernaut. He just got charged at the very last second. He actually gets hit with the stun. He has no TP out. He has no mana for an ultimate. He should be dead.
And can they track him down? Gets down the healing ward, but he is caught with the Ice Blast. Nope, there's the Shatter.
FNG, man. Oh, that was
so
the last
good.
possible second. Very nice charge from Mag, and I was going to talk about this in a second, but he gave enough vision just for a second. FNG four-staffs himself, gets the very last edge of that stun, and it actually does connect. Very big kill again for Virtus.Pro Polar with the help of Mag and FNG.
Well, at this point, Illidan has hit critical mass. He is gigantic, has 6,000 gold, give or take. Just setting back, like you said, ready to go by the Abyssal, finish that off if he wants to, and why wouldn't he? And they have a lot of tools to go ahead and break the base. The Scythe of Ice coming out a while ago on the puck. The Scepter up on Jimmy. They're going to be able to begin pressuring very hard this base. And again, CDEC just having the hardest time getting out on the map and trying to do much of anything for themselves.
Yeah, it's just the supports, really, namely the Skywrath has to play much further back. Again, these kills on him are just way too fast, and he can't do anything about it. He's staying a little bit too far up. 2 and 10 now for him. I think Garder's been doing a pretty good job out staying back, and he definitely needs to now because he just picked up a gem, and that is not something you want to give away to Virtus.Pro Polar. So,
speaking of pickups and VP Polar, as a matter of fact, Illidan opting not to finish his Abyssal Blade, grabs a Refresher's Orb instead.
well, if there's one way to make sure you do not get ulted from that Juggernaut, it's making sure you can be aggressive with your own ultimate, run in there. When your ultimate expires, you have another one ready if that Juggernaut ultimate comes out. So, in that sense, is good, but we'll see.
Oh, Q. That has been the story of this game for that poor Skywrath mage.
It really has.
He has, and it's so smart from Illidan, knowing that, yeah, he actually forces a BKB out of 7. As he has to use it to TP back to say this is going to be a free Roshan for sure. In fact, how about a double damage rune on a platter for him?
Jeez. I'm surprised he didn't go for the bash RNG, because if he did bash him through that TP, he could have still killed him.
Oh, they didn't check the Roche pit. They didn't see that he's back up. This is totally free for them.
Now they see.
Oh, did they?
Ancient Apparition just put a thing there. Ice Vortex. Here comes a charge actually onto, I heard it.
Yeah, I heard it too.
Where's he mooing?
Only a half moo. Skim milk. Well, they're going to move on in, and Illidan picking up the DD as mentioned. And this Roshan dying very quickly. Plate mail, it's going to be Phobos.
Radiant's bottom tower
Looks like he wants to go for Shivas.
Yeah, they just, I'm going to look at the graph too. I haven't really checked them out, but I imagine, yeah, 14,000 in experience. And this was a very, I mean, I guess it wasn't that huge of a lead for CDEC, but it felt like things could have gone out of control.
Yep.
They just never did. VP Polar just played better.
Well, it was one of those games where, judging by the draft and everything else, there's an Abyssal done for the Juggernaut too, by the way.
That's an all-in kind of move, really.
Yeah.
Like they feel kind of desperate. I mean, obviously he wants this, but when you're not saving for a buyback and you're this far behind, they pretty much figure if I have to buy back, we're going to lose anyway. So he just wants to go for the big item, the big damage, and maybe they get lucky.
And looks like they knew there was a ward there, but CDEC not even going to try to contest this bottom tier 2, it doesn't seem. Wisely so, if they decide to come out, Illidan's there waiting with open arms. Tier 2 down, and they may push through. There's going to be a Daedalus pickup on the Ember, so his damage coming out. You think maybe this build from maybe just a little greedy? I mean, the Yasha pickup before going Battle Fury, we saw that fairly frequently. Going full Manta before Battle Fury, though, you think maybe that's just a bit too much?
Well, like I said, it was primarily to get out of the silence, I think, from Puck, as he felt that that was the only way that he could have died because the blink wasn't coming out fast enough on the Lion. I don't think it was necessarily too bad. I just think he farmed it very slowly, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it took him much too much time. And if I remember correctly from the previous games we casted him, I think he went Battle Fury before the Yasha. And I don't even think he completed the Manta right after that. It was like Battle Fury, Yasha,
right,
crit, then maybe goes back to the Manta.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. And it seemed like his combat potential and his farming potential was so much higher whenever he went with that approach.
Yeah, I don't think this game is on him, though. I think he's played, other than the slow farm in the mid game, I think he's been playing fine. I think Juggernaut just needs to be much more deliberate about his ultimates and just be right in their face. And of course, I can't put this all on Axe's initiations either. He's gotten pretty damn unlucky, I must say. But there's really no excuses now. Of course, it is harder because there's just so much more farm on VP Polar that you will not find initiations that you once could have. But he does have the BKB to help him out still. But the big thing too is that the supports are just dying way too much. They need to stay way further back.
Well, for now, both teams contend to just farm away, and CDEC actually managed to get out on the map a little bit. There is a lot of vision down, unfortunately, for Polar, so they're very well aware of this whenever they decide to try to come out and punish it. And it looks like they just want a gajillion gold on Illidan, for all I could see, because he's basically, I mean, he can finish his Abyssal, and maybe he wants to farm his buyback, but he's basically 6-slotted as soon as he finishes that Abyssal. And he's going to try to catch up with Garter, a little short on it. There's a force staff to get him back to safety. Illidan's going to turn back around, though. Pounce up in 1 second, he's got him. And he actually got the glimpse off, but BKB through, and now going toe-to-toe with San Sheng. Seven's there trying to, he couldn't do anything. The ulti used with the refresher. He still got one, so he ends up spending his refresher to get the kill on the Garter. Not the biggest deal either way.
I wonder if he was in range to still get it through the ultimate, though. And then, like, if he does that, just runs straight towards as well to kind of waste some time from Slark. Maybe they get that kill. I don't know. He was a little bit, it was close. I'm not sure if he was fully in range. It's very unfortunate because if he was there ready to go, here we go, moving up top on, on the Juggernaut, but he is going to cancel it.
Thought better of it. Cautious cow is cautious. And, like, honestly, Polar's just in a position where they're allowed to dictate the game whatever speed they want. Like, they are going pure luxury closeout items. Shiva's done on the puck, as we saw. Even got a Ghost Scepter up on old Jims to make sure he can stay alive. Mag, looks like he's got a Hyperstone. So we'll see if he wants to grab an Assault Cuirass. That would seem to make the most sense. And Illidan's getting close to that range where he's going to have enough to buy his Abyssal and have buyback. And I think that's probably going to be the mark at which they decide to just go.
Yeah, double ultimate, double Abyssal, double BKB. I don't know how you kill him unless... Like, the only way you kill him is if they're pushing up S5. Like I mentioned, CDEC has no casualties beforehand. And he's just right up in the front sitting there ready for Axe to go on him. That's the only way I see them killing him. Imagine too if like the puck gets a Lincoln Sphere. I'm going to check his inventory. If you got a Lincoln Sphere, throws it on the Slark, it becomes even more difficult. But yeah, with the Shivas and the Sheep, I think he's just fine. And I think his team is just fine with the amount of farming he's accrued.
They are grouping at top. Illidan 5,400 gold. Taking a look at buyback. Yeah, he's got it. You think so? He needs, yeah, he's right about in range now to go ahead and grab his stuff. Probably needs another 300 or 400 gold. Yep, he's going to buy the Abyssal. Still has buyback even after a death. He should be pretty close to it, so as long as he doesn't die in the next minute or so, he'll have everything he needs, pushing the lanes in. And I guess true to Illidan, just wants to continue to go far.
Yep, and CDEC need to slow this game down because they can't take these fights at all. These supports don't do enough. Like Skywrath does absolutely nothing in these fights. Disruptor does a fair amount. The ultimate's quite good, but it's very difficult again once you're playing up against a team that's this farmed. Like once you just accrue a certain amount of farm, you're not going to find the same initiations you could have once the farm was even, just because they're able to stand in a little bit more greedy spots. They can spread out a lot more because it's much more difficult to kill that one hero than it was before. So. Yeah, we'll see. They need to slow the game down, and they need to just find smart pickoffs for CDEC. Like, they haven't breached space yet, which is a very big thing. It's still anybody's game, but they just need to play this much more cautious.
Oh, Axe.
What the?
Hello, BKB.
He has no TP, so he's kind of stuck here until his next blink.
Yeah, this is unfortunate in every sense of the word. Behind that, though, Illidan just going to work. He's going to be caught with an Abyssal by San Sheng, though, and down he goes. And the Aegis just expired not long ago. And look at this, CDEC showing a little bit of life. And FMG continuing to dance around and have his impact. There's going to be a glimpse on the Mag, though. He BKBs through it. So he'll be able to make it back to safety, as will the rest. They do end up going 2 for Illidan, though. And at this point, 3 or 4 for Illidan is almost worth it.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess Axe will say space created in the end or something.
For real.
He had a couple heroes onto him. He's again, it was kind of unfortunate. I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know if he intentionally blinked there, but then he had his BKB on. The AA ultimate debuff was still on him, but he wasn't taking damage because he had his BKB, right? Then his BKB faded. There was like 2 seconds left.
Hang on. Hex on the maybe in mid. There's going to be a kinetic field. Mag's there. Glimpse. Sends him back.
I think they could have killed him there, maybe. He had no BKB, so it would have been close.
Not wanting to take the chance. Mag's actually getting very close to having an Assault Cuirass up. And, you know, you hate to be mealy-mouthed like this as a caster, but is it maybe reaching a point now where Polar could have tried to strangle them out a little bit more, and CDEC is getting the time they need to get farm on heroes like an Ember Spirit? He's got 5,200 gold, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always scary taking it late game against an Ember Spirit. It's just hard to push into that. Once he gets a couple nice crits with the cleave, then you're sitting at half HP, and then you're like, do we really want to keep going? No, it's probably just safer to back off and farm, and then they get another 2 or 3 minutes to just get some more farm. So like I said, they need to take these fights and take high ground once they get 2 or 3 kills, which it's quite easy as we've seen. Like with good initiation from FNG, with an Ice Blast from Ancient Apparition, it's very easy to get these pickoffs, especially on these supports. So I don't think they can.
Phobos caught at the rune, takes a spill, and Seven just cannot get his Culling Blade act together. Whipped on another, and at least that time he got the call. And that's a big deal. He's down for 80 seconds. What's his buyback stat? He does have buybacks, so. And, Illidan spotted up here. Yeah, he actually pounces down low. Let's see if they can hem him in. Kinetic field there, maybe able to rim them away. Behind that, we actually see Sansheng goes right after FNG, chops him down like it's nobody's business. And spins off. Now they're going to re-engage behind that. We're actually going to see Illidan manage to get his ulti off. Phobos back in the fight. Maybe hexed out. Do they have the damage? Healing Ward is there from Sansheng, keeping him up. There's going to be a 2-man Searing Chains. Demon in the meantime on a killing spree of his own. And we're going to see Sansheng. Ooh! Phobos a little too slow on the Waning Rift. Still yet, 3 for 1. And they're back on the charge. And with 3 down now, what's their buyback status? Oops, wrong button. We could see.
None of them have it.
Yeah, this is at least a tier 3, maybe more.
Yeah, it could be scary. I mean, they did just pick up another crit stick here. Just the Chrysalis, though, for maybe. I gotta say, he played that fantastically, too, because Jug was getting pursued by Mag and one other. I thought he gets Hex.
Can they follow it? Nope, they don't want to. Want to play it as conservatively as possible, and with the damage Illidan's doing, why wouldn't you? He's forced to pounce out, though. They're not going to get racks. They do get the tier 3, though, as everyone else is coming back up. So a loss, but not bleeding or hemorrhaging quite yet. And Illidan, actually, Dappy's going to be forced to BKB. Refreshes, wants to re-engage. They've got him locked down. Sansheng will end up taking a spill. Now he's going to be charging back uphill. And there's going to be the call. Static Storm, a lot of damage isn't enough. Illidan, finally, 7 manages to drop the hammer and bring the big bad Illidan down. Demon last, and hey,
2.
There you go, homie.
That's a Kappa clap for him.
Kappa clap indeed. 7 getting it together and manages to hold the line. They lost to tier 3, but again, the melee racks regenerating already. And yeah, VP, I feel like maybe overstayed their welcome. Roche will be back up here in just a minute or so. And that's where we're likely to see our next big engagement.
Well, Juggernaut is 6 slotted. I just saw this. He's got his Blink, BKB.
Oh, he's been huge.
Yeah, he can probably sell something here to just get a better tier up of an item. Something like a Butterfly, or Butterfly would actually be quite good. I don't think he's going to have the room to get an MKB here on this Slark, unless he sells his, I mean, what does he sell? I guess just uses Refresher as a 7th item. That'd probably make the most sense. Just use the Refresher on the Courier, get an MKB if this Jug decided to go for a Butterfly or something like that. But yeah, Ember Spirit, man, maybe has been playing phenomenally. He's been living up to the hype that we've been giving towards him. Obviously, it's been a little bit more difficult with the amount of farm that VP Polar's been having, but he has been keeping them in the game, I will say that. Like I was going to say, Juggernaut should have died there way before that engagement, but a very, very nice sleight of fist combo there onto the Spirit Breaker while he was charging him. And there's the completed data list, number 2 for this Ember Spirit.
The deuce done for Ember Spirit. Still got 3,000 gold as well, and could probably think about selling his drums here shortly if he wants, and going something even bigger.
Oh my God.
Oh wow, hello. Little bit of burst for our boy FNG as he adds an ethereal blade to his inventory. And very important against heroes like the, especially the Ember. You know, a hero you can only lock down a finite amount of time, and you got to be able to burst him down while you can. CDEC going to put all this damage to use, moving into the Roche Pit. Demons on the high ground. Ice Blast right now. Shivas, and they're going to go in. Big A Phobos leads the way. There's going to be the Ice Blast on the mark as well. Phobos ends up dead, though. 7, once again, getting the Culling Blade off. There's going to be a blink or a glimpse on the Mag. He manages to BKB out of it. Now 7 caught from behind. Behind that, Garter in some trouble. Manages to force staff up to the high ground. There's a buyback from 7 as Polar once again sends them scattering. And very ballsy play out of Polar.
And a buyback from the Axe.
Yep.
Not going to do anything with it.
Not a damn thing. This is cheese as well.
Oh, God. I mean, the Juggernaut ults just
Wow.
are not on point. They actually put the Aegis on FNG, and I
Yep.
don't mind that at all. But the Juggernaut ulti again went on to the Slark, just dispels it right away, just by pressing that R button or whatever you have it bound to. And it's it needs to be a little bit more well thought out. I mean, I know he has to be explosive with it. I do agree with that, but it needs to be on. At this point, it's very freaking hard because he's got a Ghost Scepter to deal with on the AA. He's got another one essentially on the Lion. He can't go on the Slark. Your best bet is go on the Spirit Breaker because he can't go on the Puck either. So it actually becomes a very, very difficult Juggernaut game. This is the problem of picking it first. You know, they draft around it.
Yep, exactly. And this is what's called uncontested racks. Not even a fight put up. As Polar looks like they're ready to close this bad boy out. CDEC might have one more fight left in them. And if they're going to do it, they're going to do it soon.
They'll buy back now once the Disruptor's up. They'll buy back on the Ember right now.
And they're going to go right on the mag. Okay. 7 unable to do much of anything. Behind that, though, we're going to have them re-engage. There's going to be the spin from the Juggernaut. In the meantime, Illidan able to pounce down to the low ground. They're ready to reset. They know that CDEC is very reliant on their cooldowns. FNG able to make it back, using their urn to heal up. Has his blink at the ready. 7's leading the way, but there's Ice Vortexes slowing their pursuit. And looks like VP willing to, at this point, why not just wait? Your Puck's back up in 5 seconds. He's in great shape. And you can go ahead and push down bottom. And the fact that CDEC didn't even begin to contest mid-racks means they're now walked in the base for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, really nice play from VP Polar. Like, even Mag just saving his BKB that whole time just because he knows that on the pursuits, once they use that buyback, they knew that Ember was going to buy back, and just they were ready. They had a plan in mind of if he buys back, we back the, you know, we just back up. We don't fight anymore.
Right.
Let him waste his buyback, take the next smart engagement. If he dies, it's game over. Really. I mean, I don't think that Juggernaut can do enough by himself, just because there's so many counters against him and so many items against him as well that just make his ult completely useless.
Illidan is 6 slotted as it gets, outside of maybe buying bots if he wants those. Picks up a Butterfly.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how they kill him now. Like, I seriously think he's immortal.
I'm wondering why he doesn't just use the 7th item with a Courier and just keep his Lothars, but we'll see. I guess he just really wants to have that handy ultimate just ready to go no matter what. But he's got to wait another 110 seconds for that.
CDEC trying to hold the line as best they can. FNG, huge impact this game, 11, 6, and 14 from the support Lion position. Did everything he could to give Illidan all the room he wanted. And Mag, the celebratory charge onto the creep. This is probably, barring some kind of a disaster for CDEC, going to be the last engagement of this game 1. And I'm just impressed as hell, man, with Polar. I mean, Polar, they were impressive throughout the regular season. But in this game in particular, we were both high on the CDEC train, not going to lie. And they just flat out outplayed them, outmaneuvered them. Their decision-making was better. And this is just a flat-out, grinded-out blue-collar win.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not going to lie, too. I thought that CDEC was going to take this quite handily. And at the beginning of the game, it looked that way, honestly. Like, they were looking very, very strong. Just better movement and better execute. Like, it really comes down to execution. I know we say this a lot, and just in casting in general, but the execution literally was just much superior by VP Polar. They were taking smart fights. They were constantly smoke gaking, just being up in the face of CDEC, even though they were down. And I think that proved to be the right decision.
They're able to keep the lanes pushed out, at least for now. And Ember Spirit, this farm, does give you that benefit. And he's got another Demon Edge. Does he have anything? Nah, Courier's sitting back at the base. It's about rapier time, but that's a long ways away. If he did want to go in that direction, certainly buyback takes precedence right now. Speaking of, he's down for 4 minutes. No buyback, so if they're able to drop maybe, that's going to be your ball game.
Yeah, if he does somehow get this gold for the rapier, that could actually get them back in the game. But I don't see it. He needs another 3,000 gold to go.
Not just a casual 3,000 Gs.
Well, I mean, the Radio's been farming. It's not far off, but with VP Polar ready to go and actually fight uphill, I don't think he's going to have time.
Looks like they're ready to try to at least force something. And they're keeping Illidan spread out for the moment. They want him to flank in from another position. And yeah, he did go ahead and try to come in. Dark packs out FNG. Ready to jump him. Gardner in some trouble. Ice Blast on the money. 2 down in a hurry. Those two same supports that have struggled all game. There's the Omni Slash. But look, it's just not even doing any damage at this stage of the game. Everyone's too tanky. 4 down. Buyback from Jug. This is your last gas from CDEC in game 1.
I mean, maybe he's doing a lot of damage right now, and he's cleaving too, but there's the Aegis pop from FNG. I think he'll be okay.
And Illidan whiffs on the pounce, but he's just so big right now. There's going to be Searing Chains, going to creep and Mag. Mag still has cheese. You should probably think about using it soon. And Ice Blast, there we go. They're going to come back out. FNG does manage to make it away just barely. Ghost Scepter paying for itself there. That's 2 sets of racks down. And Polar.
Oh, no. He got overconfident that he could have got that kill on that Lion, and so he just chose a different target instead of securing that 1 kill onto the Lion. So, oh, no. Just everything that's going wrong, or could go wrong, is going wrong. Here comes an action on to Maybe.
And Illidan does end up taking a spill. Not even sure why it was there.
Top tower is under attack.
Yep, he got really overconfident trying to get the kill actually onto Maybe. Got close, but not close enough. And does take the spill. He does have buyback though. And another Eth Blade actually up, this time on the other support hero of the Ancient Apparition. So lots of ways to get out of the Juggernaut ulti and also to save your teammates too, and just the burst damage as well. But look at that, he's got 3,300 gold. So Rapier is coming up here pretty soon.
Yep, hold your rares, ticket holders. Could be time. And yeah, I mean, it would take a miracle though. I mean, we are to that point now, 61 minutes, the ultra late game. Things like bots begin to matter a whole lot. Refreshers become more common, although we already saw one come out on the Slark relatively early. I don't know, I mean, against an Ember, it's always chancing. But, I don't know, you know, 2 lanes already out. I guess if anything, there is no better hero in the game than a farmed Ember just keeping lanes shoved out, regardless of how many mega creeps you got to cope with.
The thing is, it's so difficult in a game. For one, you have the cow that can constantly, oh, there's the Divine Rapier, picked up at just over an hour, but you have the cow constantly charging you and just giving vision to the entire team. And it's very, very annoying. So you can't always safely counter push because you're like, I don't know if he's ever actually going to charge me or not. And so you have to always factor that into the equation. Not to mention just the amazing initiation from Lion has really been paying off. So nice draft from FNG. It did work out in the end.
Completely all in from CDEC now. They have no one. Nope, check that. I thought they were going to go for it. I was going to say they have no one back defending the base. Thought they were just going to flat out go for it and hope for a win, as the creeps were pushing their tier 4s, but not going to be the case. They send Garter and 7 home after the acquisition of that Rapier. Not a whole lot of items to be added to any to Maybe's inventory at the very least. And taking a look at Sun Cheng, yep, he's where he was a while ago. And I honestly think CDEC probably should have just pushed there. They actually had a lane pushed out. They had a little bit of time before the Ancient was going to be getting banged by mega creeps. And now, once again, it's Polar's game. They can just assert themselves on the map. Roche will be back up in 30 seconds if they even care. And they should be in good shape.
Well, I think it's not the biggest deal because, like, I don't think VP Polar's going to farm that much more than they already have. Like, their items right now are pretty much it, whereas CDEC would rather take a 5v5 fight. Oh, here we go.
And that's going to be Illidan they find.
Could be huge.
They got the damage, do they? Able to BKB, now going to work, turns it around on a 7. Behind that we see Sun Cheng looking for a target, actually. Once again, that Omni Slash coming to no avail. FNG's there, couldn't quite get it off. And behind that, Illidan still up and fighting. FNG caught, uses his Ghost Scepter, and trying to use his mana drain, pops an illusion with it. That's 3 down. There's going to be Searing Chains catching Demon from behind. And here comes Puck looking for a target. But CDEC losing 3 that time. Buybacks not exactly in their back pocket. And this is probably going to be your game as they rotate up the top and look to make it full on megas.
Really nice Eth-Blade usage by Demon there. That was fantastic. Here we go. They got a nice bolus on 2. Is the damage enough? We'll see.
They're going to come back in. There's the charge on the Maybe. Down he goes.
That's game.
Rapier on the ground, and we're going to have the Juggernaut locked down as well. GG. Hell of a game. And Polar down a man, but up a game now in this series, Strauff. Polar plus Demon looking damn good here in game 1 of our leadoff best of 3 D2L Season 5 Grand Finals here in Las Vegas. Hour-long game. Hour and 4 minutes. Taking a look at our standout performers, you think maybe we could say Illidan's won? 19, 5, and 15 by the time all was said and done. But how about Mag as well? Mag finished up 10, 6, and 20. Wound up with a rapier in his back pocket as well. And of course, FNG, so impactful from that support position on the Lion. 11, 6, and 17 for him.
Well, look at the other side. 3 and 16. 3 and 16 for the Skywrath Mage. Not a good time for him. Axe, I feel so bad for him because I feel like it's one of those games where, like, man, I swear to God, he's just getting so lucky, man. I'm blinking in there. I swear, okay, it's not on me.
Right.
Because there was like 3 or 4 times right after he got that blink where he just jumped in there, and it wasn't even the he wasn't even the initial target. It was just like collateral damage, so to speak. But I think the biggest thing that I was most upset with is I thought that this Juggernaut was going to take off. And
yeah, he never did.
I did not see him being aggressive enough. He just was way too frugal with those ults early on when they had the advantage. And I really think that that was the biggest, one of the biggest reasons why Virtus.Pro were able to take this one.
Well, maybe his farm speed as well, just not really where you would expect it to be. Maybe that had something to do with his build, going with the Manta early on. Don't know. Either way, Game 1 is behind us, and we're officially underway here at the D2L Season 5 Grand Finals. I am AC, and that's Trouf. Game 2 of CDEC and Virtus.